chat and tell us that as the slides move. We're kind of waiting for Denise Binder. Some of you may know her. And so I'm going to ask just, Denise, are you here? No. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm Jolena Farrow, and I'm on the Pyramid Model, National Center for Pyramid Model Innovations here at the University of South Florida. And today we're going to talk to you about the targeted technical assistance to mentor program coaches. And Megan, would you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Megan Vonderens. I work at University of South Florida, and I am serving as staff at the National Center for Pyramid Model Innovations. We're excited that you're all here today, and I think we have a pretty large group. So I think it would benefit everyone if we kind of did a little roll call and just said your name, what state you are from. I think that will help everyone get a context of who's all on the call today. Who wants to be that brave volunteer to go first?
I can go first. I'm Mark Kuipers. I'm with Michigan, Technical Assistance and Training for 619.
Thank you, Mark.
Hi, I'm Leslie Friedman. I'm from the state of Vermont. I am the Pre-K Inclusion Coordinator.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Sandy Smith. I'm with the Technical Assistance Training System, serving 619.
Did you say what state?
Florida.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Hi, I'm Sophia from the state of Michigan.
Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm from the state of Indiana.
Hi.
You're on the move, Jessica.
I am.
Hi, I'm Brittany, and I'm from Mississippi. I work at the University of Southern Mississippi.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marnie. I'm from Minnesota, and I work through the YMCA Early Childhood Learning Center.
And I'm Caitlin. I'm from New Jersey. I'm the chair of our state leadership team.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Also from New Jersey.
Okay. Have we heard from everybody now?
This is Casey. I also work at Mississippi, at the University of Southern Mississippi with Brittany.
Okay.
Geneva Hallett from Colorado.
Welcome.
I don't know if you can hear me, but this is Natalia McComas from Oregon.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else? Okay, well, this is a really large and good group, very from a lot of different states. So why don't we go ahead and get started. If I can get all of you guys to mute yourselves so that we don't have any kind of feedback. And if you have a question or something, if you would put it on the chat, we will have time toward the end for questions. But what we want to do now is just kind of go through the application so that you have so that we can kind of hit what we think are the big points. So let's go ahead and get started.
That sounds good.
Okay, so today what we want to do is we want to make sure you understand the role of the program coach so you know what we're talking about when we talk about who we're going to be providing TA for. We want to discuss what we'll be doing and what requirements we have for the program coaches to do during this targeted TA. We're going to review the application requirements. We'll have some questions, and then we'll talk a little bit about selection and notification. Oh, I guess I can do that.
I can do that.
Okay.
Teamwork.
All right, so we're calling people a program coach if it's somebody who trains, guides, and supports the leadership team at implementation sites. And so if you have been involved in Pyramid for a long time, you might have heard the program coach called a master cadre member, an external coach. External coach is the one I run into most often. You might have heard them called an implementation coach or a professional development coordinator. All of those people are doing the job that we're now calling program coach. And those are the people that work with the implementation sites to implement pyramid model with fidelity. All right, and so we want to make sure you understand that there's a distinction between what we call the program coach and what we're now calling the practitioner coach. And so the practitioner coach is the person who delivers coaching to practitioners. In this case, we're really thinking they're practitioners in classrooms. So we're thinking teachers or with families receiving early intervention services. Those people were previously called internal coach or a classroom coach or something like that. We have been trying to kind of make the label fit what the person is actually doing, so it doesn't fit like the master cadre was part of a grant. So it doesn't fit that it's really just more descriptive of what the person is doing. So program coaches coach the programs, work with the state leadership team. Practitioner coaches are in classrooms with teachers, or in a home visiting model, they're working with the home visiting person, home visitor. Okay, so targeted technical assistance is what we're calling this, and it is going to be distance. It's going to be 2 years of technical assistance with the understanding of enhancing program coaches' skills so that they, in all of the things that they do, so that their training is kind of up to date and really reflects the latest things, information that we have, so that they can support programs' data analysis and data decision making, so that we can increase their expertise to work with the state leadership team, so that they are also doing that. We want to have them be able to guide practitioner coaches in their work with classrooms and to work with state leadership teams. I already said that. So that the idea is that all of those jobs that the program coach has will be talking about all of those things, providing materials and working with the coach on all of those things during our 2 years of technical assistance. So here is who can apply. The 619 coordinator, in conjunction with their state leadership team, can apply and nominate up to 3 program coaches. So the state has to provide evidence that you're implementing the pyramid model and that you either have or you're building a professional development network. And professional development network is what we're calling the program coaches. Our application is online, and if you got to this webinar, you've seen the application, and the deadline to apply is February 15th. So we have about a month before those applications are due. I'm not getting any chat question.
All right.
All right. So we'll be providing TA activities every month for an hour and a half. It'll be a web-based conference call for all the coaches. We'll have 5 states who have nominated 3 coaches each, so about 15 coaches. And we'll be delivering content as far as trainings. We'll be facilitating discussions between the coaches. We'll be sharing materials. Those calls will begin on March 13th and will be held on the 3rd Wednesday of every month from 3 to 4:30 p.m. Between calls, coaches will have an assignment to do, something related to the information and activities and materials that we share on the conference call. And they'll have consultation monthly with an assigned NCPMI staff. So that might be Megan, it might be me, or it might be Denise Binder.
So I'm going to walk, the purpose, we're just going to walk through the application details so that you feel comfortable as you move forward with the application process. So we've set up the application so that the state 619 coordinator is completing the application, and all of those components can be completed electronically. So we're going to run through kind of the 4 major components. We'll describe them more in detail, and if you have specific questions about these, put them in the chat now so that we have them, and then we'll get to questions at the end. So the first component is a state leadership team commitment of support. So we'll describe that in a moment. And we'll want some information about the nominated coaches. So we'll get some information, as well as we have a coach survey for them to fill out. The largest piece of the application will be the application narrative. So we have a lot of information that we're asking for that can be put into one kind of narrative piece where you can upload that document, and then a program coach letter of commitment. So all of these details are found, if you landed, like Jolena said, on the website for NCPMI under the application. On the very bottom of our website, you can see the 4 places where you would upload these documents. So the first piece, we really want commitment or a memorandum of understanding from the coordinator or chair or leader of your state leadership team. That really is to say we're committed to this technical assistance, and that our program coaches are going to have release time to be able to participate in those monthly calls, to be able to spend time implementing some of the activities that are involved in the technical assistance. So you might be already thinking, okay, if I were to complete the application, who might my nominated coaches be? What we want up front is some contact information for those 1 to 3 program coaches. So we have a place on our website application where you can include their name, their number, email address, so that we can get in touch with them. And then all nominated coaches must complete an application survey. This link is on our application website. It's a Survey Monkey that's pretty brief, but it's really helping us as TA providers to get to know the coach. What are their previous experiences within the pyramid model? What are their training and consultation skills, and kind of what's their background in coaching? And so that application, that is due with the application deadline of February 15th. There's a little more detail here involved in the application narrative. I'm going to just kind of describe some of the highlights. All of this information is detailed on the website, but this really helps us as states are applying, get to know the state and kind of where they are with the implementation of the pyramid model, as well as their coaching supports. So the first part of the narrative really involves your state context. So describing your state leadership team, kind of your story around implementing the pyramid model. How long have you been implementing? What sites are implementing within the state? And that data system used for outcome and fidelity measures. So that helps us kind of understand where states are all at different levels of implementation, kind of where your state fits in. And then we'll want a description of the current use of program coaches and PDN. So we'll want information that describes your program coaches. So how many program coaches do you have within your state? What's their assignment? So how many sites are they assigned? And then their coach responsibilities. So they are spending the majority of their coaching time doing consultation? Are they providing training, other sorts of technical assistance? We want to hear from you as far as the strengths and challenges of your professional development network. So if you have a network established of program coaches, what's working well from you? And what challenges may you have that this technical assistance might be able to assist with? If you do not yet have a PDN, a plan for developing one can be included in this narrative. and we'll direct you to some supports that we have on our website that really kind of give a little more detail of what goes into planning for program coaching, kind of the scope of work, and what can go into the plan for developing a PDN.
Cynthia, probably just permission.
For participants on the web call, if you guys could all make sure that you're muted so that we don't get any background noise or sound coming through. Oh.
Yeah.
Can you, if you have a question, if you put it on the chat, I think we're having difficulty understanding what you're saying. So if you would put it into the chat, that would be great.
All right, so the next portion of the narrative is going to be the reason your state believes that this TA will benefit your current or your proposed coaching network. So what are those things that this technical assistance can bring to your coaching, and kind of how you see this fitting within your current implementation, which kind of leads us into that last component in the application narrative. States are implementing lots of different initiatives. How implementing and increasing your program coaching supports, how does that align with other related efforts in your state? So provide some description about how that alignment, kind of that resource allocation would work out as you embark on this new technical assistance opportunity. And the last component is a letter committing to release time for each nominated program coach during the 2 years. So that's just a letter from either the administrator or someone above the program coach that says, yes, I'm committed for this program coach to participate in this technical assistance activity. So these are the application supports that I was referencing. These are all links that are active on our website in the application portion. The first is a program coach scope of work. So just some detailed information that describes what a program coach, kind of beyond what we described, Jolena described, might be helpful as you put together your narrative. If you're thinking about recruiting new program coaches, we did create a sample invitation application that looks at, it's a resource that you could adopt when you're looking at expanding or trying to recruit new program coaches. You can always head to challengingbehavior.org if you need additional information about NCPMI and the pyramid model. And then there is this online guide. It's in partnership with ECTA that goes in detail about what is a professional development network of program coaches, expectations. There's some supporting materials. So if you're looking to expand your PDN or create a plan for developing one, these are resources that can help you build upon that narrative and can help walk you through that application process.
Oh, thank you.
So these are some important dates to keep in mind as you're filling out your application. The deadline, we have it set for about a month from today, so February 15th. We'll review those applications quickly. We're hoping to turn around, review the applications and notify states and selected program coaches by February 22nd. And as Jolena said, our fun with the technical assistance opportunity begins March 13th at 3 o'clock, and that's Eastern Standard Time. And those will be kind of Zoom calls, webinar calls like we've set up for this webinar.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to that.
Yeah. So we have a couple of questions here. I have three of them that look like I need to explain kind of a little more about kind of our expectations of program coaches and state leadership team, but one is a really easy one to answer, so I'm going to answer it first. Will this PowerPoint be available after the webinar? And the answer to that is we're recording this call, and that recording will be available, I think, tomorrow in the same place where you found the Zoom link. So we should be able to get it up right away, and it will be available for you to hear again. All right, so let me talk a little bit about kind of our expectations. So this is part of pyramid model implementation. And in pyramid model implementation, there is a state leadership team whose goal is to implement pyramid model across the state. So when we are talking about the state leadership team, we're not talking about, you know, individuals in state government or in 619 who are working on early childhood. We're talking about a team of people that may include, that certainly will include the 1619 coordinator, that would include somebody from Part C, it would include somebody from Head Start, it might include somebody from childcare in the community, and anybody who is really interested in working on implementation of pyramid model in a community, in a state, and across the state. We're kind of expecting that if you apply for this program coach technical assistance, that you are already implementing pyramid models in some way. And if you don't yet have a state leadership team, then it'd be really difficult, I think, to look at, because it seems like there might not be any central body of coaches that are going out and working with the teams. If you have some specific things that we need to consider, please contact Lisa Fox. She's the person that's on the application as a contact for this. And she'll either respond or she might give it to Megan or I to talk to you. But we can kind of in more detail talk about the specifics of your state. The other thing is that program coaches are the people who work with sites that are implementing pyramid model. They work with all the people at that site, meaning the team at that site that's putting pyramid model into place. They work with the coach at that site who's coaching teachers on the pyramid model, and they work with the state leadership team. I know that, and we know that program coaches are hired out of different places depending on what the state is. So sometimes the state will have program coaches that are paid directly through the state, and sometimes they'll contract with an organization to have program coaches, and sometimes they're contracting with the university. If some of you on the call are, for example, those contractors, you also need to involve your 619 coordinator in the state, so that that's the person who has to complete the application. So we know that the state is actually, and the state leadership team is actually supporting this part of the project. We will ask you, and as you look at the materials for the application, you'll see that we ask that the program coaches, their letter of commitment has to include that if they're being supervised from somebody other than from the state, so for example, if the YMCA is their supervisor, then they have to have a commitment from the YMCA that they can have release time for this. So, but if you want to do this, you also have to involve the 619 coordinator. And the other question I have here is whether or not we'll be doing it for 3 to 5 as well as 0 to 3. And we're really, it's a good question. It is a good question. And we're really concentrating, that's why we asked for the 619 coordinator to complete the application, because we're really concentrating on the 3 to 5 year old population, or children in classrooms rather than children in home visiting groups.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, they put in archives. Like, I don't know what that means. Like, what? Like, how much copy? Electronic, maybe? Are it available?
Is someone we're just trying to figure out if someone has a conversation on if they can put it on mute, or if they actually have questions that they want to ask to us on the webinar.
Catherine wants to do this application. Nobody thinks this. Including and counting the cost of services related to drug program. I don't know. Okay.
No, that's
It
needed.
seems like there's a lot of people they need to add to these positions. This K through 5.
Okay.
Run. Like they need a full-time person. Who
We do have another question, a specific question.
Say last.
A couple new questions. I love that there's lots of questions. So right now, one of the questions was that New Jersey doesn't have a 619 coordinator, and is it possible to have the application submitted by another representative from the DOE?
Who's doing that work? If you don't have the 619 coordinator, it should be whoever's doing that work.
So this is Caitlin from New Jersey. There is somebody that the Department of Education suggested, somebody who works in special education. That person is not part of our state leadership team at this point, but it is the person who's identified. I mean, your question is a very good one. There's not only not a 619 coordinator, that department used to have 3 people, and there's legitimately 0 people working in that department right now. So, wow. So that was our biggest question, because obviously with the 619 coordinator being the one that would do the application, and we're not only missing that role, we're missing all of the roles. So if it's okay with you all, if there's some way that we write that up and just have it submitted through this special education representation, that would be fine for us, but we wanted to be sure it was okay.
Yes, that's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, I'll make a note of it too, so when we get the application, we'll know that.
No, thanks very much.
Another good question. Does the 619 coordinator and the state leadership team chair also participate in the monthly calls and TA, or is it just the program coaches? So that's an excellent question. The TA that we will be providing is strictly to those nominated program coaches. So we ask that the application and the full support exists from the state leadership team and the program coordinator. But part of our kind of mentorship and training opportunities through the technical assistance will be to help the program coaches expand upon their work and coordinate and work with the state leadership team, but they're not going to be on your monthly calls. So that's part of the work, is kind of that expansion and rolling out of maybe training new program coaches, supporting the state leadership team in recruiting new implementation sites and expanding upon your professional development network. But they will not be part of the training opportunity.
So I didn't hear everything you said, so if I'm repeating what she said, I'm sorry. I was trying to concentrate on what I was writing. The thing I wanted to add to that, maybe, it's an addition, is that we expect that whoever the program coaches are, they will have been chosen with the idea that they're leaders in the coaching, that they work really well with other coaches and the leadership team, that they'll bring everything back that we are providing for them. Is that what you said?
You just said it more eloquently, but yes. Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. All right. So we have another question. Can the 619 coordinator nominate the state leadership team chair as a program coach if that person is the actual program coach in the state?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again,
absolutely.
they're a program coach, and when we work within pyramid model, sometimes those roles do overlap, and so I think as long as that person is serving in the role of a program coach, that person would be able to participate and would benefit from it.
Okay, other questions?
Do you want to roll through the questions so we did put together some questions that we thought might get posed during today's webinar. So we're going to go through these, and these might spark additional questions or comments that you have. And one just rolled in. So we're going to go through these, and then we'll get to the question that was just posed to the group. So one question might be, what is the rationale for limiting the TA to 3 program coaches per state? And we were looking at providing kind of this targeted technical assistance. We felt when we put this opportunity together that 3 coaches per state allowed for kind of an in-depth providing of support to individual states, and that by taking 3 and kind of or less per state, that we can really build upon those program coaches, build upon their skills, so that we can kind of grow those and power up those program coaches across the state, and that we're really looking at expansion. And so by starting with those 3 program coaches, we can give them the appropriate amount of support that they need to be successful in this opportunity and to be successful program coaches. Anything to add to that? All right. Another question, will program coaches be accepted individually or accepted as a group? So we will accept those and notify program coaches of their acceptance individually. So if you have multiple people apply, we're looking at those, nominating just those 3 program coaches, and we'll look at their applications or their surveys that they're completing on an individual basis. Kind of leads right into the next question. You can see how our minds are rolling with this. So you're in a state and you have more than 3 coaches we want to nominate. And so that may be the case if you have states that have, you're implementing pyramid model and you have program coaches. So we want to kind of talk about what should you look for in a nominated coach and kind of what makes a good fit for this TA. So we're really looking at kind of that desire and that motivation to partake in and to partner with us as we work through the technical assistance, someone who's excited about doing the work of a program coach and who wants to participate in the technical assistance should be something that is a good quality to look for, as well as those program coaches that have those strong leadership and communication skills. So we're asking program coaches to train and build capacity and work with state leadership teams and work with implementation sites. So someone who can be that leader and can be that good communicator and that bridge between programs, between the state leadership team. I know we talked about a couple other qualities. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Julina?
How are you doing? You're doing very well, thank you.
All right, so the last one is our state has completed lots of pyramid model training, so you're kind of in that training mode. But we do not yet have a state implementation effort or program-wide implementation sites. Can we still apply? I think Jolena put it, kind of phrased it, that we want you to be implementing the pyramid model at some capacity so that you have coaches who would be able to go to implementation sites and to provide program coaching to those sites. So we can work with your program if you have or your state if you have questions kind of about where you fall within that implementation kind of process, and if you need supports to when we look in the application for, do you have a plan for scaling up or working on your professional development network? We have some resources in our application supports that can help you kind of figure that out, what that plan may look for your particular state.
All right, and so we have a couple of questions here, and Mark, it looks like your question kind of fits within the last one that we just had as a frequently asked question. Can you tell me kind of, do you have people that function as program coaches right now, or do you just have practitioner coaches?
At this point, it's mostly individual ISDs have got some coaches that they are using throughout their area. But given our strong desire to start helping and supporting actually the whole area of inclusive education for our 3 to 5 year old population, the whole behavioral issue has come up time and time again, and we have been, I guess, desperately searching for some training with the pyramid model that we could use statewide, and that's why we're excited about this and don't want to have, I guess, our lack of a coordinated effort at this point be the barrier, because it's hit and miss across the state, but I would certainly say that the pyramid model is being used rather extensively in Michigan.
But you don't have a state leadership team, right?
We do not at this point. I'm sure that Lisa, who's our 619 coordinator, would be more than happy to step into that role and assume that and coordinate it with Part C. They already work together pretty significantly and bring in other stakeholders as well. But I guess that's the piece that's concerning to us, is that, like I said, we've been hungrily looking for this kind of training. And when we got the email, it was like, oh my gosh, I need some help. But
Yeah, we do have some other technical assistance work going on that the applications have already been done that's related to kind of gearing up at the state leadership team level. But can I ask you to go ahead and email Lisa Fox, and we can set up kind of maybe a call with you to talk about what you're doing. I just thank you for the information that you gave me, but I think I have a lot of questions that maybe are better finished on a call.
Sure. I totally appreciate that.
Okay. All right. And the next question is, can a current practitioner coach who's shifting to program coach roles be nominated? And that's yes, absolutely. That'll be a good person to do it because they'll get, you know, a lot of training that will help them with their new role as a program coach.
And who are coming into it with a wealth of experience.
Right.
So I think this would be an excellent opportunity for whoever, Brittany, you're thinking of. I think that would be there's lots of different options that you can explore when looking at who could possibly fit this program coach, technical assistance.
Okay, other questions?
Oh, yep. So we have one more question. How many program coaches will you accept in the cohort? Is there a maximum? So we are limiting the application to 3 nominated coaches per state, and we're going to take up to 5 states. So there is kind of a maximum. The max would be 15 if we have 5 state applications with up to 3 program coaches per state. If you don't have 3, we put that you could nominate 1, you could nominate 2, and you could use the whole up to 3 nominated coaches. I don't see any more questions rolling in. I think we got all of them. Oops, and that won't guess me. Now we have, there we go. So we answered questions. If you have any more, is Lisa's the only contact information that's on that?
Lisa's is the only contact information on the application, on the website. Given some of the questions, I think I might go ahead and add my name as well. So, but none of that will happen until tomorrow. And in addition, the recorded version of this webinar will be up tomorrow. So.
All right, so this is, we're just going to kind of go through some of our resources. So the application and the supports and information about pyramid model kind of leadership teams and program coaches. We do have we didn't probably talk about it, but it is on the application website. We do have a new kind of voiced over description. It's like a voiceover PowerPoint with some animation describing the difference between a practitioner coach and a program coach. If you haven't yet watched that, it kind of flushes out more in detail what the difference is. So for the person who asked about, can a practitioner coach switch to a program coach, might have some really useful information about what that looks like in the different roles. And we want to thank our partners. So the National Center for Pyramid Model Innovation is done in conjunction with National TA Centers and through national professional organizations. And we thank you for your time today. And if there are, again, any additional questions, we will have those point of contact on the website with Dr. Fox and Jolina's email addresses. And if for those, I think the state of Michigan, if there are those particular questions, we can kind of find a time to sit down and get a little more detailed conversation going about the application process.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all for joining us, and we hope to see applications from all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I can. Yes. Okay, if yes, do you want to stop cloud
Yeah.
recording?